The date is Monday, November 27th, and the time is 5:30 p.m. I want to welcome you to our City Commission meeting and especially welcome our kids who are smarter than fifth graders, our fifth graders from Cub Scout Pack 27. And they all convinced us today that they are indeed smarter than most fifth graders. So welcome to our meeting, okay? So we're going to be led by our opening prayer by Commissioner Siri, and then at the conclusion of that, our visitors are going to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Well, good evening, everyone. You know, sometimes we tend to forget because we live in this nice little community called Danville, Kentucky, and we've had a good holiday, filled our bellies with Thanksgiving dinner, and Christmas is coming around, but not everybody in the world has it as good as we do. So I want to have a moment of silence for the two big conflicts going on in our country. Overseas, there's two wars going on, and we're fortunate to not be part of it. So if you'll just take a few moments of silence with me and thinking about those people and what they're having to live through, I would appreciate it. And I thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jenny, did you get a lot of...
Our commissioners are presenting to our guests little tokens of appreciation, keys to the city of Danville, as they continue their education, as they continue their journey through the Boy Scout world. So again, thank you all, and thank to all the adults who are working with the troop. Miss Lori McGregor is the pack leader, and lots of adults we're here with them. They've been here since about 4:30, and we've had a nice little discussion about your city government at work. And I didn't realize that fifth graders could ask such challenging questions, but they had some really great questions to ask. And it was a good thing the rest of the commissioners were present so they could help me answer some of those tough fifth grade questions. But again, thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Commissioners, you have the agenda that you've had since last Friday, I guess. Would like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Oh, we are going to add a couple of things, aren't we? No, they're going to be done during the city manager's report, right? Not added to the agenda.
Yeah, I was going to ask as far as item 12, do we have to get there and table it, or can we just take it off the agenda now?
No, if you all want to talk about the schedule of it at all, we can. If not, we should just take it off now. The schedule, we have a 90-day window. There's 2 meetings in January. I talked about it with the attorney. He was more than comfortable with taking up the discussion on the 11th at a regular call meeting. Felt like that we still had time, plenty of time, to reconcile the issue before the deadline, which was the end of January, with regular meetings. So he just wanted to reassure you all of that, and I would take a minute to do that. Otherwise, yeah, we can move on past it for tonight.
So Commissioner Cottle is suggesting that we approve the agenda with an amendment, that is to take item number 12, a zone change recommendation for Heartland and Ridgeview, off the agenda until the next meeting, which will be the first Tuesday in December.
Mayor, I would add to that item 15, the insurance premium discussion. probably is better aligned with number 9. And so I would ask that we move it to 9A and have that discussion right on the heels of the item 9.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Call, you accept that as a friendly amendment to your motion?
Most certainly.
All right, is there a second of the motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Second.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, Chair would say all those in favor of approving the amended agenda, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Thank you. Our agenda's been amended. So next on our agenda is that we allow our public to talk to the commission tonight. And at this time on our agenda, it's for items that are only on the agenda. So if you're present, you want to talk about an item that's on the agenda, if you raise your hand, I'll try to recognize you. Come to the microphone, identify yourself, and then you can take and speak to us 3 minutes or less about items that are on tonight's agenda. Is there anyone willing to do such? Well, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Let's move on then. The next item is that we have a presentation by the MVets organization here in our community.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank the commission and the city of Danville, Mayor Atkins, for allowing us to be here today. My name is Robert Robbins. I'm the AMVETS Post 123 commander here in Danville. With me, I have my first vice commander, Ronnie Morrow, and my second vice commander, Daniel Glacken. Now, to you guys that don't know of AMVETS, it is short for American Veterans. We were founded in 1944 and congressionally chartered in 1947. We are American veterans who have served or are serving in the armed forces of the United States during and since World War II, fully realizing our responsibility to our community, to our state, and to our nation, associate ourselves for the following purposes. To uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, to safeguard the principles of freedom, liberty, and justice for all, to promote the cause of peace and goodwill among nations, to maintain and violate the freedom of our country, to preserve the fundamentals of democracy, to perpetuate the friendship and associations of these veterans, and to dedicate ourselves to the mutual assistance. All this by the grace of our God. Now, what we wanted to come here tonight for is, at AMVETS, we get together every so often, and we would like to recognize individuals for their service to our community, service to our country, a multitude of things. And tonight, Mr. Atkins, Mayor, would you please, can you step over this way for us?
Oh, now you had it.
I know we do this right here.
Well, your 3 minutes is.
Oh, now that was a minute and a half. Now, I don't live in Boyle County, but I've learned after Mr. Atkins became our mayor, and he's got over 30 years of experience as a retired as an educator, and he's been on, serving our community for 30 plus years. And first and foremost is he's a fellow brother of mine who served in the United States Army. So our veteran body got together and we wanted to honor Mr. Atkins with a lifetime membership to AMVETS Post 123 in Danville, Kentucky. And of course, we've got don't go away just yet. We're supposed to not done, as long as membership. You can't show up to the post without a nice official T-shirt. And if they like to challenge him, then he can tell you what a military challenge is later. An official challenge going of AMVETS.
Very well deserved. That's nice.
Well, thank you guys, and you keep letting all of the secrets of my life out there, because people in Danville know me as an educator, not as a soldier.
MP, weren't you, Mayor?
We don't talk about that way. But that was nice. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for doing that. Okay, let's go on then. Mr. Danny Goodwin is next on our agenda, a presentation about our M.L. King celebration. Was it nice?
Thank you, Mr. Atkins. I'm Danny Goodwin. I'm a representative on the Martin Luther King Community Celebration Committee. Where'd she go? Melinda was just here to support me, and I think she walked out the door as soon as I walked up here. Okay, yeah, so she said, I'm here to support you too. So, and then she left. Anyway, I wanted to come and just give you a quick update on the, she does exist. We are currently in the midst of planning the third annual community celebration. The first one was canceled due to weather. The second one we pulled off, and so we're looking forward to pulling the third one off. Last year was the first one where we all got together. It was outstanding turnout. People were very pleased with all the different aspects to it. So we're really excited to just build off of that this year. We're gonna keep a lot of the stuff the same, but we hope to change a few things too. The theme this year is the time is now that we're going with. We're going to try to assemble again here at City Hall and have a march. Last year we marched to the Jenny Rogers Community Center. Because of some construction and stuff, we're going to take a left and we're going to march up to DHS and have the presentation in Gravely, which might be a little bit more accommodating for those types of presentations. Presentation should begin about 12:45 like it did last year. We will hope to have Mr. Atkins do an introduction. We'll be honored to have that. We're going to have a combination of the two Danville High School and Boyle County High School choirs will sing again as they did last year on some joint efforts. We're going to have a community choir, which was outstanding. I don't know if you were there last year, but it was some of the best singing I've ever heard. They're going to sing again. There were requests for an encore, so we might even get them to do a couple songs. That evening, Melinda is actually taking aren't you putting together the center convocation? Yeah.
Yeah,
So she can talk a little bit about that.
So as a joint effort, certainly I lead planning the Center MLK, Martin Luther King convocation every year. And so we'll have a keynote speaker waiting to confirm a lot of details before we make the announcement, but also that'll be campus-wide, also community-wide. And so we advertise both of these events together so that it's very clearly communicated. This is a full day of commemorating Dr. King's life, what the Danville community is doing, what Center is doing. We're a part of the Danville community. So once again, an opportunity to collaborate between Danville and Center. And so we're excited about that, using a lot of Center students as well as volunteers for the Danville program to help with T-shirts, distribution, also with distributing the food, helping with the march in any way that they can, helping orchestrate or coordinate the traffic at Gravely Hall. So a lot of partnership with Center, and so we're thankful for that.
And on that
Mr.
note,
Goodwin?
sorry, go ahead.
No, I want you to go.
Okay. Also on that partnership note, we are happy that this year the county is kicking in on this, so it is a community event. We want to bring in all aspects of our larger community, and so they have agreed to help out. We just twisted Mr. Gay's arm enough that he got us some money too, so he's helping this year. We do appreciate all the support that the city gives us. We're excited to bring Maricus Lofton back, who is a hometown guy who has followed his law career all the way to Washington, D.C., and we're super excited to hear him come back and talk to our community. What else am I forgetting?
I think that's it.
That's about it. What was your question now?
I thought you had a request for funding.
Oh, we do, yeah. So I don't know, and I don't know what you want us to do in order of how detailed you want us to get.
The commission probably just needs to hear an amount, and you can give the details to the
There's an itemization.
city clerk.
We can so I can send it to you, what we have. So basically, and these are, we're gonna meet today, but we had to push it back because we have a call for art from the community to come together to make the design for the shirts. We're trying to get that to be a community challenge or whatever you call it, competition to make the design. So we're asking for we're trying to get 300 shirts this year. It's a little bit more than last year. We had 200 last year and they went super quick. We ran out of shirts and we ran out of food last year. We had 200 shirts, 200 lunches, and we ran out of both. So we have budgeted that for 2,500. The lunches, we've also budgeted for 300. That's the county's going to take care of that. We put, so these are high numbers, but I think they're going to be, we'd rather err on that side. So we set $1,000 on travel, and then we'll need to get an interpreter. We have down for 300 printed flyers, and this is taken care of. Decorations.
For a community-wide event, how many people we have living here in Danville? 30,000, 40,000? So we need 10,000 to pull off a community-wide event. So we'll take care of all the things. And so with more resources, we can do more. We don't want to run out of food again, right? We don't want to run out of shirts again. I think that's a very low cost compared to a very broad event that hopefully we get, 1,000 people, ever how many Gravy Hall can hold. We hope we exceed that space, that people are sitting out in the hallway as we come together as a community. So 10,000 is our request. We hope you can meet that. If not, we'll change some things in our budget to make sure that this is a great event.
Is that 5 and 5, or is that 10 from each, or how did?
5 and 5.
5 and 5.
We'll project it, yeah.
I would make that motion to allocate up to 5,000 for the Martin Luther King celebration.
I'll second.
And I apologize, we can submit a budget earlier if you would like in the future. We were kind of confused on if we needed to submit one or if we just, how that worked. So you guys tell us what to do, and we'll get it to in February next year.
I think it's best if you can submit it as part of the community agency process. We anticipated it because of the way you were formed, and we were kind of mid-year anyway. And so this level is okay. It's a little bit higher than last year. Do you remember what the amount was last year, like 2,500 or something?
I think it was close, I think it was like 3,500.
Yeah, I knew there was a 5 in there,
3,500, I think.
so that's fine. And then, but let's just try to get with Ashley towards, we don't know our schedule yet, so it would be in March probably that we would send that application out. But participating then would probably be best.
It'd be easiest for us to do it right after
Yeah.
this event. We go ahead and plan for next year and say
Yeah.
this is our request.
Right. Yeah. Y'all should align with the community agencies. We're as staff, we're categorizing it as such because it's established by the commission, but yeah, that's where we should put it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, I want to thank you guys because, we've had celebrations since the 1980s, but it just sort of drifted away from the city and county's involvement. And since we've gotten you all back involved, it has become, like she said, a community-wide event, and that's been our goal. So I just want to say thanks for all your efforts and all your time, because I told these Boy Scouts that, we have lots of volunteers, and you're looking at 2 right now on that committee who've put a lot of time in. So thank you guys.
I want to highlight and appreciate the Bull County and Danville collaboration. I know, we all talk about, there's a little rivalry there, but when it comes down doing things that are important, I appreciate that both districts are willing to work together, sharing the information, and all of the districts certainly want to include, engage even more our private schools, the independent school, and get them on board as well in the future. So this is a great start and a great partnership of the entire Danville Bull County community.
Thank you, guys. Any other questions from the commission?
I don't think so.
All right. Ms. Jenny said thank you. All right.
Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate it.
guys.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Oh, and congratulations, Mr. Goodwin. New principal of Tolliver Elementary School. What do you mean on what?
We didn't vote.
Oh, we didn't vote? Okay, all right. There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, thank you all. Oh, the next item on our agenda is parade update. And, Jamie Boycott.
Yes,
Did I pronounce it right?
you did. Thank you.
Thank you again for your work, too. Guys, look, another volunteer, guys. All right, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, good evening. I am Jamie Votaw. I'm the chairperson again for this year's Christmas parade. We're a very small but strong committee of volunteers that are putting this parade on. And it'll be right here 2 Saturdays. So Saturday, December 9th at 6 o'clock here in downtown Danville. I'm very excited. We have over 80 participants for this year. That's over 20 floats. We just found out the Wienermobile will be there as well, so we're super excited about that. And 6 equestrian groups, so a strong contingent of horses as well. Yeah, I know, right? The only part of the parade we're unable to get is marching bands this year. So we just wanted to make a community call. If there are any marching bands out there that would like to be part of a parade, we would love to have you. There is a competition, so that is why Danville and Boyle cannot participate. So the parade route will be the same as last year, with it going down Main Street, and then it'll return down Walnut to the Center College area. So that's where we'll be lining up. And then this year, we're actually going to have events from noon all the way until like 8 o'clock that night. So we're going to have the Christmas Festival, which we probably all know that Lahana is putting on. That'll be in Wysinger Park from noon to 5. And then we're going to have our food trucks that'll be on 3rd Street and at the U.S. Bank parking lot after 2 o'clock. And it looks like we're going to have at least 12 food trucks lined up. So plenty of food, come hungry. And so there'll be a lot going on. The only other ask we have is we're still looking for volunteers. These volunteers will get to see the parade, I promise. You just get to wear a lovely fluorescent vest, and you get to help people make sure no one goes out into the parade route. So if you're interested in that, we certainly need some folks to just kind of line the route and help us. And then I also wanted to second what Melinda said. This year has been fantastic working with both the city of Danville and the county. We're going to have a huge contingent from both groups there at the parade, so we really, really appreciate that. Are there any questions?
What's the weather gonna be?
I hope much better than today, right? I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, it's great weather last year.
You're right.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
And the date is December the 9th, 6
December
o'clock?
9th, 6 o'clock.
6 p.m.?
Thank you.
And your city and county officials will be participating again.
You will,
So,
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're all
early
walking.
on so that you can see
We're
the rest
all,
of
we're all walking this time, right? Didn't get any amens on that one, did I?
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, all that good excitement, all that good fun, then we got to be followed up by the audit report, which again is good news though, right?
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank
Andy
you, sir.
DeMoss with RFH, here to present your fiscal year 22 audit. So the report, I did something similar to what I had prepared previously for the previous audit. Just a quick summary with some slides so you can see some of the numbers really quick. Again, this is your fiscal year 22 audit. We issued the report, I believe, November 6th. So we've had it complete for a little while now. But there's a lot of information in here. So this will go over the highlights of the numbers for you all. Hopefully it's not too boring. The statement of net position on the first slide there, or slide 2, that's essentially your balance sheet for the citywide financials. So looking at this, assets and liabilities are both going up. Assets overall increased about 14 million. The biggest jump there was in your capital assets, buildings, new equipment, things like that. Liabilities increased 10 million. About 4 million of that was grants that came in, the recovery funds and things like that that haven't been spent yet as of June 30th, 2022. So those were a liability on the books. But overall, you all went in the right direction. Equity or your net position increased by $3 million. Moving on to the next slide. This is your pension and post-employment benefit liability. This is the first year you've seen it trend down. And all the city really can do is contribute as part of the plan, the required contributions. That liability is not something Lee's coming up with or we are coming up with. There's an actuarial report that's issued by the state. And I think when you see fiscal year 23, unfortunately, it's going back up and back up. So there's so many factors that come into play with that. Funding as well as investment performance and all kinds of stuff. So just focus on the contribution rates and that you have to meet each year. Moving on to slide 4. This is your governmental fund revenues. So here you'll see overall your revenues increased over $1 million. Your governmental funds are your general fund, road fund, where you're not charging service fees. So what you're seeing here is the $1 million increase was primarily seen in your net profit taxes. That is the big gray part, but it went up almost $2 million right there just in that. On the next slide, slide 5, this is your governmental fund expenditures. Overall, expenses increased $6 million, but the big area where you're seeing that's in the capital outlay, which is purchase of new assets. So that's the light green bar down at the bottom. It doubled compared to the previous years. It's just an investment into the future for when you're buying new assets. Other areas where you saw some increases, personnel in the police department increased quite a bit. But everything was still within budget. We looked at, that's part of the compliance that we're looking at is making sure you don't exceed your budget. So it was within your plans. And then moving on to slide 6 here. These are your enterprise funds. Again, we're seeing increases kind of across the board. The increase here is about $1 million, and that's in your water and sewer charges as those increased compared to the previous years. So the revenues increased $1 million on the enterprise funds there on page 6. If you look on page 7, your expenses increased $2 million. So, and again, that's in your utility fund. Personnel costs have gone up as well as, I'm trying to remember, I think you just saw some increases in chemicals and things like that as well. But overall, everything was kind of trending up. So that's a quick overview on the revenues, expenses, and overall position of the city. In fiscal year 22, there wasn't a whole lot of new debt that was incurred. No new bonds were issued or anything. I think it was just the KIA loan that was drawn on as part of that project. And then also, I'll jump into a few little things. At the very back of the report, the last 3 pages, if you'll flip to page 81, this gives you a good summary of everything. Overall, in the financial statements, we provided an unmodified audit opinion, which is the best opinion we can provide to the city, meaning we believe the financial statements are free of material misstatement. But this we had a single audit this year, meaning the city spent over $750,000 in federal funding. So this gives you a summary of all the findings and whatnot. You typically want to see all no's on the far right. We do have 2 material weaknesses in internal control listed, and those are covered in the next 2 pages. So So the first finding there on page 82, it was over kind of the year-end close process. We had about 70 audit adjustments. Things weren't fully adjusted when we started the audit. They obviously did get corrected with us working with Lee, but you typically want to have everything closed out, reconciled, and tied down. So it was kind of a longer process in getting that complete. So that's that first finding there. The second finding is almost similar. You all have used a separate fund essentially to kind of account for your cash. The bank accounts were reconciled, but then at the same time, you have to reconcile them to the fund level where the cash is split out, and that was not getting done in the system as it was supposed to be. So that obviously caused some issues as well. So I know that there has been new accounting systems in the process, so hopefully that can be solved with that process. But overall, like I said, we got to the right answer with the unmodified opinion, but we do have these two findings in the report.
Well, thank you for that information. The two findings do not come as a surprise to any of us who've been on the commission for a few years, but any other questions or comments from the commission?
No, I just want to say it's 22. Remember, it's year-end
Yes,
22.
ma'am.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
new staff and things
Yeah.
have changed, and so hopefully.
Yeah,
we'll be
it
right.
takes a while to get,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions, comments?
No.
Your parting shot is that we're in good shape?
The numbers look good, yeah.
Well, those two findings being corrected should help us. further,
Yeah,
right?
hopefully everything gets fixed and more timely, yeah.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Safe travels. Spend a little money before you leave town now. Y'all gonna let you get away without saying that? All right, let's move on. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Crossfield.
Can I get a quick question?
Yes, sir.
Are we caught up now, Lee, or do we have one more to go before we're caught
So
up?
we're not technically late on the fiscal '23 audit yet. It's due officially in March, I believe. Since we did get this presented, I'm gonna kind of powwow with Earl and see when we can get the next one started rolling. There are certain things that you can't do until after your audit is finalized and I get those final adjustments. But like we said, there's, between the accounting systems and the change with me in charge, now there has been a lot of change and a lot of change in process. And we're always striving to improve what we do and how we do it. So,
We're not laying this at your feet.
No, I'm impressed with all the financials we get from you, so thank you for that.
well, we always want to be looking forward and how we can improve, but hopefully in the near future, we'll have a good estimated start date and ideally completion date for the next one.
Yeah, part of the reconciliation side in the Fund 91, that's just from a habit created through our old software package. The new software eliminates that necessity, or at least reformats it so that it can be done. And so we feel a lot better going forward. I know I do. And so we'll continue to make improvements and look for opportunities to be, more efficient with some of that. The financial software, the software industry has made strides over the last, 10 years, 5 years, 2 years. And so.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. So we've been working on the landing page for a few months now, and we are just about ready to go live. So I wanted to show you what we have so far, get your thoughts, and hopefully we'll have this thing ready to go. I'd say in the next few weeks. We still have to work with Civic Plus, our current provider, to kind of make that some of the transitions. And we're also testing some of the forms we have up and just making sure we've got all of our boxes checked. So I will say when we do go live with this, we intend to provide a virtual tour of how to use it, how to navigate the site, how it can be useful. And again, the intention of this project was to be an online directory for our visitors, our residents, and anybody that is interested in the city of Danville. So I'm just going to highlight a few of what I think are the cool features, the improved features from our old site, and we'll go through this really quickly, and then I'd just like to get your thoughts. So over here, we've got our side menu. These are all the things that are currently on our website in big buttons, but they're just, I feel like, a little easier to see here. And this will look different on a cell phone, but it is mobile optimized, so you should be able to locate those icons easily. Over here, we'll have our accessibility widget, which for any special needs to navigate the page, those are available there. And we also have our chat feature here. So if you come onto our site and you have a question, you just fill out this little form, and someone, currently me, will get back to you as soon as possible. So it's a really cool platform called High Level, and I have the app on my phone and also on the desktop, and there's going to be a few other people that have access to that we can answer questions quickly when we're available. So love that. We have our search bar here. This will search our site for whatever you're looking for. And I think most important about this is that we're going to have the analytics and the data from this. We're going to know what people are looking for, which pages they're visiting. And so if we need to change anything, this is a living, breathing site. It's going to be developed over time. And so we are going to make changes and make updates as we see the needs in the community. Then we have these buttons. They all go pretty much to the tourism pages that align with those categories, and then the lovely video starring Mayor Atkins. Our community calendar is going to look a little different. It's going to be down here. You'll still have the ability to subscribe and submit events. Those are old events. We're going to get those updated. And then our basic news, which you'll be able to subscribe to that as well. And then our community resources, parks, education, healthcare, and we'll kind of dive into where you can find those on the next page. So for our residents, we wanted things to be really easy to find. So as soon as you come onto this page, you're going to see this menu. It's not a drop-down menu. We wanted it to be right in front of your eyes, so you can find everything you need. So you've got all your utilities, a few extra things, and these just link out to pages that already exist, not only on the City of Danville's website, but other community organizations. So that'll go directly to KU's site. Animal control goes directly to the county's site. So you've got all of those things. And specific categories like open records, if you need something from the City of Danville or from the Boyle County Courthouse, you can request that here. You can also request a welcome kit. And we have a digital format. We can also mail it to you. And what this is going to be is information about utilities, information about local schools, local activities, how to subscribe to the newsletter, how to subscribe to the community calendar, pretty much anything you would need if you're moving to town. And so that's a community effort, working with Kindle to develop like what that looks like from a tourism perspective. And then down here's our community resources. And we still have a little bit of cleaning up to do down here, but anything that you're looking for, health and wellness would expand so you can see all of our local resources. We've got all our parks and the parks programs. And these, again, still just link out to the city site. But we'll continue to build on these as we see what people are interested in, what they're looking for, so that they all look the same. There's education. We've got all of our schools, our GED resources, arts and entertainment,
Same thing, so when you come and it drops down, you've got all that. And then support. We will be adding veterans and senior citizen support categories under this. And so I want to send this to all of you just to review, because I know you're all very engaged in other organizations, just to make sure that we have everything that we need. I think this is the page I'm most excited about. This is the business page. And the Develop Danville has been super helpful with this. Here's our menu for that. We want to provide an easy to navigate guide for any prospective businesses or even our existing businesses if they want to host a special event or do their ABC licensing. So all of these pages will be developed out further, because currently you see they go directly to our site, but we'll develop these pages to look more like this. You've got all our resources right here. If you're wanting to start a business, you're moving to town, or if you just got a great idea, we'd love to talk to you, and you can fill out this form here that will go to, for right now, it's gonna go to me and Jeff Jewell and JJ and Josh at Develop Danville. You can drop your resume. This is not a job application, but if Harold at Develop Danville, who's the workforce development coordinator, thinks of something that might fit your resume, we'll be happy to pass that along. And then we have always had a functioning directory, but nobody's really known about it or added their business to it. So we really want to encourage people to do that. It's just another way for people to find your business here in Danville. We'll have another news area here, and then other resources that are specifically for businesses. So your marketing, local media, financial institutions, and any training and support, not only in Boyle County, but throughout the state. And then the Idea Farm put this together for us, which is really just a snapshot of what's available in our community, what we're doing, what we're making, our top employers, and some of the pretty cool things that we make here. Visitors, all of these things you can find at the DanvilleKentucky.com site, which is the CVB's website. And so we pretty much just linked out to all of those. But we really want to encourage people to get engaged with our community calendar. And you can download the visitor's guide that the CVB has created right there too. Government, you guys know how this works. Same thing, your links. And these are city departments because this is the city's page, but we still have other resources here, like your records request for the Boyle County, and then your leadership for the county as well, so you can find what you need there. You guys, pretty pictures. And then just some information about how our city government operates and how our county government operates and the different departments for each. And then a lovely message and note from our mayor. And then, of course, if we go back to our homepage, we've got these links up top to our partners. And that is pretty much it. We've still got a little bit of work to do, but hope to have this out in the next few weeks.
That's neat. That's really, like we've gone from cave drawings to real online stuff here. This is cool.
Any questions or comments for Melanie?
Will it be an app immediately?
There isn't an app. I mean, it's going to be optimized for your phone. So that means it's just going to look really nice on your phone, and it's going to be responsive on your phone screen. We don't have an app. We will still have the Danville KY app, which will link directly to our page. So if you're on there and you're trying to submit a request of some sort, or if you're trying to access your utility account, you would still be able to be directed directly to this site.
That's neat.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll send you the link so that you guys can just flip through it and let me know.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. The chair would like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes of 11/13/2023 as presented.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions, comments, additions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving our minutes, say aye.
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 Those opposed, likewise. Okay, item number 7, Resolution 2023-112701. Oh, cancellation of the second December meeting.
We've historically done that, so I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 2023-112701.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I'll second. It's on December, it would be on December 25th, so.
Yeah, I won't be here. But we can always have a special call meeting if we need one.
Yes. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in approval of Resolution 2701, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, thank you all. So we're not meeting on Christmas Day. All right, we're all going to Cotto's house for dinner.
Come
Okay.
on.
All right, next item is Human Resource Department presentation, Mr. Randy Boyd.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Just going to go through some quick updates for the HR department and some year-end statistics that just want to share with the group and just kind of talk about where we're at for the current year and some things that we want to kind of progress for next year. But just real quick, these are, and we got a lot going on right now, these are some of our active projects. There's quite a bit comprehensive list of things we're working through. We've talked about some of these, such as the BCTC training program, the apprenticeship program with the water utilities. And so there, you can see we're working through several of these, and which I want to kind of expand on a few of those in more detail here in just a second. You know, our BCTC program, we've kicked that off. We signed an agreement with them. I want to say it was back at the end of October. That's going well. We've got our first class scheduled December the 8th, and we've got another one scheduled January the 12th, and I'm actually meeting with them next week to outline a schedule over the next couple of months. And with the big focus on career mapping and succession planning, we've talked, and I'll talk a little bit more about succession planning as we get into this report a little bit. But overall, that's a great partnership. This is our logo, our partner logo that we've come up with, and we're really excited to see where this goes and tap into a great resource here in the community. This is one of the bigger, and we've talked about this is probably one of our bigger projects we're working on, is a community health clinic. Don't know where this is going to go. There's a lot of logistics to come into play. We've been talking with a lot of different employer groups and potential providers about a clinic with the objective of basically having more direct access to primary care for members, as well as healthcare cost containment, trying to lower our healthcare cost dollars. But really, the overall purpose of this is to get a better value to our employees and, easier access to care. And then also, we look at this as a piece of economic development by, providing more healthcare options to potential businesses when they come into this area to look at Danville as a place of residence. We feel like this is going to be help with that, and also could potentially support small businesses. We've been working on this probably realistically the last 12 to 15 months. We hope to have some kind of final path forward if we're able to achieve this proposal to bring to the board probably within the next 6 months realistically. And you can see here, these are just kind of some of the scope of services we hope to achieve through that clinic program. Real quick on, we talked about this. We're doing 3 parts, our policy updates. We actually have gone through this year with Sturgill Turner. We've gone through a comprehensive legal policy update. We're working on some policies on employment guidelines and total rewards, just trying to review those to see if, we continue to balance the needs of the city with those of the workforce. And once we get through with this project, our goal is to bring this to the commission for one total bundle, so we don't overload you with a lot of different policies at one time to look at, And I don't know exactly when this would be done, but we hope to do that early 2024. So this is kind of a slow process. Anytime you deal with policies, it takes a lot of review and back and forth. So that's kind of what we're working on right now. Just a couple quick updates on some HRS projects. Obviously we've invested heavily in our Paylocity platform. One of the things that we're going to be seeing this year is we're in the process, right now we're currently in the middle of a health benefits integration with Paylocity. And basically what that means is we're going to be transitioning all of our healthcare transparency through Paylocity, just like we're employees now can see all of their documents like their pay stubs, time off through Paylocity. They'll be able to see all their health insurance enrollments through there. And also we hope to have this up and going, and actually we'll do open enrollment, go away from paper forms and do that through Paylocity in 2024. And then we're also working on building a video education library through Paylocity. And again, this is an ongoing project, but the health benefits platform, we hope to have that ready to go by open enrollment in April this year. And then this is just another, we talked a lot about training and development. We've put a lot of emphasis in that, such as, career mapping, succession planning. So there's really 4 parts to our strategy here to kind of transition or push us to becoming a continuous learning organization. Our learning management system, we've got safety training, going through there every month, 2 to 3 hours a month of general safety training that all employees get, our BCTC program, our apprenticeship program, and then also one of our goals for this year is, outlining a structured succession planning program through mentors and the leadership academy that we've developed. Just in this right here, us, talking about recruitment, these are just some of our open positions we have right now. 2 of the 4 on here, we will have a resolution probably coming fairly shortly on those positions. But this is our key focus point right now with recruiting. So I want to kind of just tie in just to some employment data, just kind of give you an idea of the state of the workforce. Right now, this is what our employment numbers look like by sector. You can see we've got 168 full-time employees, 65 of those are safety personnel, comprising fire and police department, and then we have 141 part-time employees, which is, as we invest in parks and recreation, that number on that pie chart continues to grow, and just with the focus on parks and rec expansion. Now this right here is a breakdown of our workforce by generation, and I did want to point this out because this ties into succession planning. If you look on our pie chart here, you can see that about 50% of our workforce is over the age of 40, with a lot of those, approaching retirement age in the next few years. This number right here, this is your retirement by tiers. This really gives you a true indicator of the workforce that can retire. And if you look here, about 50% of our full-time staff is in Tier 1 or Tier 3, with a big majority of those eligible retirement or soon to be eligible, which really puts a strong emphasis when you look at this data on career development and succession planning. That's got to be one of our big focal points over the next 1 to 2 years, because we are going to see quite a few retirements in the next couple of years. Not just retirements, but retirements in key positions within the city. And then as far as employee turnover, I want to talk about this because we've got more to share on this a little bit on safety personnel. But since 2020, this is what our retirement or turnover looks like. You can see in 2020, we had a really high amount of turnover. We put a lot of emphasis on compensation through the 3-year program. You can see that number has started to, drop significantly with the investment that the city's made in human capital. But for 2023, we have seen an uptick in turnover, primarily on the safety personnel side. When you look at turnover reasons, the majority of the people that are leaving are for other jobs. That does tie into directly towards their compensation. The one positive takeaway is the culture, the environment here is very positive. All the department heads do a great job with their employees. It's simply a tangible reason that employees are leaving, the ones that have left the city. Because we do, every time someone leaves, we do sit down and talk with those individuals and kind of gauge some of the reasons. And really it comes down primarily to compensation. And so this kind of really looking at safety personnel, I want to kind of dig into that. You can see here these tangible numbers over the last 4 years. You can see in 2021, 2022, we did really good in the market. '23 has been a challenge for us on the safety personnel side. You can see we've had a pretty significant uptick in police and police turnover. Fires, not as much, but we are feeling the pressure in the market for those positions. And when you break it down to safety turnover, it's 87% of those individuals are leaving for other positions. Some are stepping out of the industry altogether, which is not just a Danville problem, but an industry problem. We're seeing less and less interest in public safety due to the demands of the job, and some of that's reflected in some of this data here. And this is just a quick bar chart of our new hires that we've hired to replace some of those key positions over the course of 2023. And then one thing that we always try to do at the end of the year is, this right here is just what I call a SWOT analysis, but just looking at some of your strengths, weaknesses, and some of the challenges and opportunities to look at to kind of combat the workforce changes, and then also, to ensure that we can, attract and retain, key employees. And one of those big opportunities is, establishing a strong educational program along with succession planning. Some of our biggest challenges is obviously, the war for talent, especially on the safety personnel side. We've got some, retirements coming that I mentioned earlier. But again, I think our key is always identify those weaknesses, try to improve upon them, capitalize on your strengths. And again, I always like this exercise because it gives us a vision of what to look forward to in the future. But this gives you just kind of a snapshot of some of the challenges we face in the market across a lot of our sectors. Utilities included with police and fire, those are our three big challenges that we're facing right now. And again, it's not just a city problem, it's an industry problem and a statewide challenge for employers. So any questions on any of this? I know it's a lot of information, but I just wanted to give a kind of a quick synopsis of some of the things we're working on.
I had a question. Back on the utility clerk, how many, back in the day we had 4, and do we just have 2 now?
We used to
We're
have.
down to 1?
We had 3 class or authorized positions. Right now, we currently have 2 authorized in that department.
Okay, with the part-time?
And we do have part-time workforce there.
Okay, so we currently have part-time as well? Okay.
Yeah. And then we also created, I think in the budget year last year, we created a utility billing manager position that's dedicated to utilities that hadn't really existed in the past. That function was managed through the finance department until those were allocated out into specialized positions.
Okay, and you don't recommend we hire an extra one, or?
That's a conversation point.
Extra part-time, or?
Right now, we've had a lot of discussions on that. I really don't have the answer right now, but that is something that myself, Earl, and Marshall have talked about, and we're still trying to evaluate what we need to do there.
Okay, it just seems like we're short a lot and
Yeah.
with a lot of changeover, so, okay. Well, thank you for looking at that.
And we are, and I just don't have an answer.
Extra
right now.
part-time, don't have to have benefits, and
Yeah.
could assist and I guess support the full-time person.
Other comments or questions? Mr. Boyd? Thank you, Mr. Boyd. You have the next item as well.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So this, I want to kind of tie into this, kind of ties into some of our conversations we just had a few minutes ago regarding police and fire turnover. Just for historical purposes, I just want to kind of reiterate that in front of you, you have a proposal for safety personnel compensation adjustments. In fiscal year '24, the city took steps to increase salaries to become more market competitive with all job sectors. We did a market study in January of last year, January of '23. Since that time, though, we have seen a rapid change in the market with police and fire salaries. Really extensive. It's almost unprecedented how quickly things are changing. I've got both chiefs here, Chief Simpson and Chief Gray, that can chime in anytime they feel like to kind of talk about some of their challenges in the industry. But what we're seeing really across the board is that there's a declining pipeline of talent, not just Danville, but all agencies are struggling to recruit new people into the industry. Also with that, there's been a really competitive bid for lateral hires. There's only so many laterals in the industry. And as such, the city has seen a significant impact since August on safety personnel. Just to put it in simple terms, since August, on patrol officer staff, the city has lost 28% of its workforce to other agencies solely due to higher salaries. As such, city staff, which included a collaborative effort between both chiefs, myself, Lee, and Earl, to go back and do an updated market study to see how far the city was off on pay. When looking at that, in your memo here, in summary, the city's, since, I guess, July and August, we not fell off market, but the market has changed so rapidly that we've fallen about 10 to 12% under market. Not that the city's actions weren't appropriate back in January, they absolutely were. It's just that's how fast the market has changed because of the shrinking talent pool that's out there. When you look at larger agencies like Lexington, Frankfort, Louisville, they are really struggling as well to get new recruits in. And so long story short is we went back, looked at the market adjustments, identified that we're under market. We are requesting an adjustment of the salary bands for the positions that's outlined within this proposal, which would impact approximately 56 safety personnel, primarily on the police side, police officer, police sergeant, and detective position. Then on the fire side, it would be the firefighter, the lieutenants, battalion chiefs, and the deputy chief. Now, while this would make us very competitive in the market, I still don't know where the market's going to go, and as we continue to struggle for safety personnel, and I'm sure if we all look at, read the media and stuff, we can see that that is a really heavily challenge for a lot of agencies right now to recruit and retain personnel. So when looking at this, once we sat down and looked at the market, we strategized on how can we, adjust these salaries and what can we do to put in cost savings mechanisms. In looking at this in summary, if in your proposal to raise those compensation levels to market on an annualized basis, total labor costs, this is inclusive of salaries, retirement, payroll taxes, would be $652,206. That's inclusive of police and fire. But cost savings, we come up with mechanisms by deferring some positions only temporarily within the police and fire that are budgeted unfilled positions, which would save you approximately $378,598 annually. But again, we don't recommend that as a long-term solution. That is only to get us up to market now, and as those, because really we have to continue to bring those staffing levels back up as revenues increase and come into the city. For the rest of fiscal year 24, the cost, and we're recommending implementing this January 1, would be, total cost would be $326,103. But we do have a cost savings through those deferred positions that's outlined in your proposal. That would be $189,299, which means additional funding just for fiscal year 24 would be $136,804. I know Lee and Earl is going to talk next about some things that he wanted to discuss, but in summary here, and we'll be answering any questions, is that we feel like this is an appropriate adjustment because right now we are struggling and we've seen a significant turnover, and we feel like without taking action, that's only going to be more difficult to replace those talented and safety personnel. It's a lot of information, a lot of important information. Be happy to kind of go through some of that in detail with you.
So you've got two things you're trying to do. Number one, deal with it in the fiscal year you're in. And really what you're trying to deal with is a problem that has arisen as communities around us implemented their July 1st budget year, which was their summer budgeting. There was a lot of market pressure on salaries and the police and fire going up. We're seeing that pressure on our staff. We don't want to lose more people, so we're trying to react to retain those people, right? To retain our officers. The step one is deal with the first part in the fiscal year we're in, which is, as he pointed out, is about $326,000 in cost. We're down a couple of positions in police, one in fire. We feel like we can absorb essentially 2/3 of that cost by just not rehiring those in the fiscal year that we're in. And then we do believe that we'll have a little bit of cost savings in the general fund and a little bit of overage in revenue in the fiscal year we're in to make up the balance of $136,000. So if you choose to implement this mid-year pay step for the police officer and firefighter level, we believe we can, through the just not rehiring the vacancies that we currently have, and absorb that cost impact. The second part of that is long-term, what does that mean? And so I didn't want to go through the discussion and not have a long-term plan. So what Randy pointed out, the second part of that is for FY '25, the total cost on an annualized basis will be about $625,000. So that's what I wanted to focus on because I believe we can get through the fiscal year we're in. So how do we know mid-year that we can afford that? We did have a little bit of gap last year. One of the things we talked about with police and fire is if you don't rehire those positions, that accounts for $378,000. That is not a hiring freeze in the police and fire necessarily. If you have any more vacancies, you hire those positions back, obviously. What we're talking about is thinking that, well, what worst case? Worst case is you just leave those two positions that you have vacant in the fire until such time that your revenue recovers sufficient to hire them back. That would be the first hired back. That leaves you a little bit of a gap of $273,000. So we would have to save that money during the budget process next year. We would have to go into next spring knowing that we have to plan that in. This step is a part of this step that was going to be recommended next year anyway.
Yeah.
Remember, we had the long-term compensation plan. We had one more step in it. This is, for these officers, part of that last step. So we recommend going ahead and taking the step, but we recommend paying for it in the fiscal year we're in by just not hiring those two positions back like we indicated. Going into next fiscal year, that's not a sustainable stance, not hiring those two positions back. So what we're going to be trying to do is try to figure out how to drive as much savings out of the budget, and we'll be looking at revenue, which is the reason I wanted to move the next agenda item up. You see a pretty good gap, and so police and fire is a significant expense of the city's general fund, and so I'm trying to think how to transition. So let's just go to the next item. So holding that as we're talking about adding expenses, the next item that we were talking about is the insurance premium discussion. Cities struggle with opportunities to generate revenues. They struggle with the diversity of revenue streams. To compensate for your fire protection and some of your insurance requirements, the idea of the insurance premium tax was created for cities to generate revenues for those services. For example, your home insurance, there's an insurance premium tax that theoretically ensures that the fire department has revenue that is consistent with good fire protection, drives the rates down. So there's a benefit to spending that money on the fire industry, right? So when we look through our insurance premium tax, in March of 21 or 20, you all raised at the recommendation of the city manager at the time. Last year, Lee and I was going through this analysis about this time of year and recommended that the insurance premium rates be lowered back to what they were prior to that increase, which was for, essentially property and vehicles, was 8%. So we asked you to lower it from 10% to 8%. What caught our eye at the time was there's the city, and we have a table, sheet 3 on that agenda item 15, which is a table of comparable cities that has, and I would like to bring your attention to the health insurance rate. The city collects no revenue out of that insurance premium tax. The rate is set at 0. And we would like to point that out and highlight that as a place where it correctly aligns with the expenses we're talking about. So when we're talking about adding EMT qualifications to the fire department and improved first on the scene emergency response by the police department when you have a medical incident, the health insurance premium tax can be used to better train those officers and better equip those firefighters to deal with that situation, right, with improved training. And so if you want to go into the budget year next year being proactive towards those vacant positions, this is a good area to talk about. As you can see on the list, a typical city, the average is around 8%. There was an article in Georgetown today that I noticed today, or I think it was from one day last week. The city of Georgetown was increasing across the board their insurance premium rates from 8% to 10%. And if we look at Georgetown, they are collecting on health insurance premiums 8% in terms of revenue off that category, where Danville's collecting 0. And so what I would argue is number one, what I would question as a taxpayer is the fairness of not charging that, but charging other categories of tax. So it seems like if you're going to charge any of your insurance premiums a tax, why are you peeling out the health insurance industry, not charging anything, when the bulk of what we do in police and fire is protecting the health insurance rates, essentially by being responsive, and but theoretically we're driving medical expenses down, which is protecting insurance carriers from those expenses, right, as well as our insurance plans. So I would suggest that if you want to talk about the gap proactively in the discussion of compensation, which next year $652,000, this is a good place to start. So then if the average city is 8%, I certainly wouldn't recommend doing that. I think when I look at Georgetown, I mean, not Georgetown, but Bowling Green, I think theirs is set at 2%. I think that's certainly a reasonable place to recommend starting. Mercer County, Harrodsburg is 10%. You can go through the list. Junction City is 12%. I don't know where you want me to stop. Somerset's at 6%. Richmond's at 8%. And again, we're at 0. To me, I don't understand why we are. That seems a little bit unfair to me, to be totally honest with you. That being said, at nothing, considering the cost burden that we do with training and our Narcan and all the things that we do for our police and fire. So I lob that at you as a volley to talk about amongst each other. And what Lee did on page 2 of that sheet is 1% would generate about $193,000 in new revenue. 2% would generate about $387,000, and 3% would generate about $580,000. 3% would be well below the average city. It would just be 1% higher than Bowling Green. Glasgow's at 2%. Other than that, the only other one that is close is Owensboro, has a 4% rate. The rest of the larger cities, there are a couple others that have 0. Berea, for example, has 0, while their insurance premium rates across the board is 6%. Would also suggest, though, that they have a higher employment data than we do. So that's a number I would like for you to think about as we go back to item number 9 in your packet and look at the what Randy suggested to you and ask, do you have any questions or comments or feedback on what we're talking about? I know it can be very unclear, and I know that those are two difficult things to talk about at the same time. In a nutshell, we've got a way to get through the fiscal year. What we're worried about is the next year moving forward. That's a $625,000 number. We can generate some of that savings. I don't like that position. I think Tony Gray and Doug would agree that it's not best to we've asked for the staffing levels where they are because that's what we need, what we believe we need. So certainly holding those down is not necessarily a long-term solution to anything. Certainly if we have additional turnover, then you do have exposure in terms of you're become undermanned really quick if you're not careful. So then long-term, how do you pay for those things? And what Lee and I were able to identify as a weakness in our diversity of our revenue, in that we don't collect anything from health insurance premium tax, which you're permitted to do. I don't necessarily think it's logical to hold that at zero and then hold other insurance premiums as taxed. I don't necessarily see that. So there you go. Do you have questions, comments, teardrops?
All the above.
Yeah, I think, the first part of the proposal was, definitely something we should do. And then the second part, the insurance premium, I mean, is that the budget discussion? Is that something we need to do right?
We
now,
normally
or-
start, Lee and I normally start looking at those things, which is why it's aligned with this discussion. And really, it's why you would want to talk about the insurance premium tax is when you're doing something like this. So
And there is a deadline to approve them.
Correct.
If you wanted to go into effect for next fiscal year, and it is mid to early March, we would have to have an ordinance passed, which is a little bit, it's obviously sooner than the full budget is passed.
Right.
But that decision would have to be made really kind of prior to going into the budget season.
Yeah, so you have some time to talk about that, and that was going to be what she just said was my next point. You do have deadlines, but they're not immediate. But it is something that we don't want to get into having that dialogue now helps us as we get into the budget process, understand what our starting point is. Right, and so, it's something you don't have to deal with the second item tonight at all. We can talk about it again on the 11th or move that to January if we need to. But I didn't want to get into the discussion about compensation, long-term costs without having alternatives for you to think about.
I think, I can't speak for everybody, but I definitely want to keep us competitive, so I think we need to do something. Just hadn't studied on it enough to know exactly what it is. Maybe that's the best way. Maybe we'll come up with something else. I don't know. But,
Yeah, and certainly I want to add this really before we go too far so that we can wait 2 weeks, right? Like, so this is a presentation to you.
Right.
We fully understand it's a lot of information. We can come back on the 11th and have this exact same discussion again and give you a chance to come in, talk to us, ask some more detailed questions on your own. Think about it on your own a little bit if that helps you. And certainly have the conversation with this full commission again on the 11th if that would help too.
I mean, I feel like Commissioner Cottle, I think we have to do something. And I think the first item is, to me, you have to move forward. And then also you didn't mention, we have to consider next year. I don't know what you're thinking, but that doesn't include a raise next year. These numbers, correct?
Correct. So this does not deal with any raises in
year's,
July,
right.
which is why I wanted to make sure we were trying to have a method potentially to pay for this now still put us in a position to deal with next year as the time comes.
But I mean, I think it, it's needed. I just wanted to highlight that we're not looking at, you haven't said anything about that. That would be next year's budget. But then also, the second thing I would like, personally, I'd like more time on the second.
Totally
9A.
reasonable, totally reasonable. We, it's unusual to do a mid-year adjustment. And we freely acknowledge that, and we freely acknowledge that this is us reacting as staff. And really, when I was off, I was coming in, meeting with staff just to have dialogue about what are we going to do, how are we going to react, because the market pressure is there. That's real. There is real salary pressure on the police and fire industry for your base police officer position, your entry-level firefighter position. That is real competition.
Do you think next year, I mean, maybe perhaps that we could look at it not in January, but you're looking closer to your budget? I know you have to prepare a budget, but you also need to look around at what's happening to other budgets before we pass out, so that you can keep your eye on it, I guess.
That's a good point. So our routine has been to establish our personnel costs for our baseline personnel costs first, and then continue to build the budget in that way. Certainly, we can do that and come back to that and re-verify what our personnel numbers are towards the end of the budget. This is something to me, though, that popped up in July and August. After all the other cities passed that July 1st budget, we saw that hit immediately after that.
But that's sort of my.
But you're right. I mean, it's never hurts for sure. Yeah.
Earl, may I add a comment on that?
Yep.
So I think, Commissioner Peak, to your comment, I think we've got a good system down, and we've already kind of started thinking about that, because this is one of those outliers. It's not a norm, it's an exception. But with that being said, we're living, the economy and everything that we've seen changing with salaries, and, minimum wage is probably going to go up. The federal government's already talking about a major spike in minimum wage. I think it is appropriate for us to maybe look at it in January, February, but then do a second review, maybe April,
Right.
Because it is, and in all transparency, it's been very challenging, not only for the city, but just employers in general to keep up with this pace. And, that's kind of really, this is a byproduct of some of that. We took all the correct actions, with the budget process, the market study. It's a very lengthy process, right? It's about a 3 or 4 month process, but then all of a sudden this comes in and sweeps us off our feet. So I think we are going to have to change our way of thinking this year, just because we're not, these are outliers. And the other thing is, we don't want to lose sight of the city as a whole with other positions. This is just, this market has changed so dramatically for police and fire. We've not seen that in other industries, but who's to say that doesn't come down the road? I don't know the answer to that, but right now we've seen the tangible impacts of this, which is why we felt the need to do this. And again, we're presenting you with a lot of data, and what we're presenting you with is not just a week's worth. This is about a 3-month project that we put into place. So it's completely understandable that you would need time to absorb the information, because we did, right? As staff, it took us a long time to go through this exercise.
Well, too, and really at the end of the day, salaries are going up, number one, because the workforce is shrinking. Like, that's just a thing that's happening globally. Then in addition to that, inflation is real. Cost of vehicles, the cost of our groceries, those things are going up. And so salaries, people are seeking higher salaries and wages actively in order to provide. And so then therefore employers, in order to get that shrinking pool and in order to get those assets, which are employees, which we desperately need those assets as well. We want to retain our firefighters and police officers, because that's how we make our community safe. That's the face of your government, and that's it. Without those known faces out there, it can be more challenging to safely do community policing, right? Which is what we really espouse. So you're seeing all of that market impact, and the result of it is now coming back to you in a discussion about mid-year adjustments, which I'm not aware that we've done it before like this. But at the same time, I really feel like that we need to carry that conversation forward.
Yeah. It's, you know, to your point, I guess, is we don't know how long this is going to go on. This could be a forever trend. So we trying to formulate a plan now. It's a good idea.
Yeah, and thank you for not waiting. A lot of times government waits to July 1st, and thank you for seeing that we already lost, 7 police and 1 fire. Because I think we all want to stop that and correct this. So thank you for finding a way to correct this mid-year.
Well, let me ask a few questions then, because I sort of feel a trend. If I read this right now, the variance for fire personnel has increased 12.4%, and police personnel has increased 11.6%. Am I reading that correctly? That's the variance? That's why we're having this discussion? And then if I also read this right, that this proposal only pertains to 56 of our employees in the police and fire department.
Yes, so that is, what the target is 2 positions, police officer and firefighter. Because you're adjusting those positions, you are necessarily adjusting the sergeant and the detective, and then the lieutenant, battalion chief, and deputy fire chief positions to maintain separation.
But there are some employees in the police department and some employees in the fire department who are not going to be affected by this increase at all.
That is correct.
And then 56 employees out of a total number of employees in the city is, what's our total number of employees?
165.
165 employees. So that's roughly 100 employees who are not going to be impacted by this at all. And then the next question I have is that if this is approved, then we've got to come up with $326,000 beyond what the total savings is? Or $273,000 beyond?
273,000.
Beyond, okay.
Yeah, and understanding that savings is not rehiring the vacancies that existed when we started
I
our
know,
work.
but, yeah, I'm just trying to get these questions out so in the next 2 weeks, I won't have to keep asking these same questions, okay? And then if I go back to the insurance tax proposal, and let's say we go in at 4%, that's gonna generate $774,000 in new income?
That's our estimate.
That's our estimate based on data that we've gotten from a couple of different inquiries.
And so possibly, if that was to be a true statement, a true amount, over the January 1st, 24 to June 30th, 24, we'd probably generate half of that, probably? Not all of that?
No, because it won't go into effect till July 1st. And so we will have to take action on it in really January in order to meet by the end of January for us to comfortably say we can meet the deadline to make it effective July 1st. So you'll get no revenue off of the insurance premium change until July 1st of 2024.
Wow.
Technically, you would get it in October, since it's a quarterly, that quarter, their beginning quarter. But the current year that we're in would be cost savings, would be the not the elimination, but the non-filling of those empty positions, along with just some cost savings elsewhere in the general fund.
Wow, okay. Well, and what I guess I'm leading up to is that if I was supportive of a 4% insurance tax and generated $770,000, I still have very little change left over to try to give an increase in salary to the rest of the employees in the come July the 1st, 2024. I have very little new monies to offer for salary increase to the rest of the employees.
We would suggest that our revenue is going to change too. And so before we go too far with that, I would argue that we would need to wait and see what revenue projections for the next fiscal year was going to be.
Can we go up, you saying?
Well, we need to see what those are. And so,
In general, most years you see almost like you see the cost of prices increase on the expense side. You also see that on the revenue side, and those kind of trend hand in hand together year over year until, for instance, like your property taxes come in or your bigger quarter ends for occupational taxes come in, which are like November, December. Until those months pass through and we get that revenue in, it is harder to determine overall how much you're going to have and what is a good estimate for going forward for citywide adjustments.
Well, let me ask staff to do a little research for me then. Let's take the rest of the staff who's not affected by this current increase mid-year, and let's see what it would cost us to give the rest of the staff 5% increase. See, the worst thing ever happened to me as an educator is that we gave part of the staff an increase and then give the other staff an increase. We're trying to save people's jobs, but what we did, we ran all the other folks off. So we didn't give them anything. So I support foreign police. Everybody knows that. But I'm also want to support the financial impact of this stuff with all the rest of our employees. Because that's a good retention question for me as well.
Good point. And thank you, Lee, for finding this. Just looking that Harrodsburg has 10% and Junction 12%. This is definitely an opportunity that we could, cover our police and fire, so.
Well, it is, Earl mentioned, it is very important to have a diverse source of revenue. And while this is the same type of tax, it's coming from very different places. While, the last couple of years, we did see the significant increase in property tax, for example, homeowners insurance, went up. That's why we reduced that portion of it. The same trends aren't always going to be there on health insurance. So that's something to keep in mind whether you pass this or not down the road. This is at 0% for the city.
And two, it can come from a different group of payers, right? Than say property taxes.
Sure.
Right. And I think, again, I wonder why that was never, I'm not aware that we've ever really talked about that.
I can give you some historic perspective on that.
Yeah.
So tax policy is meant to encourage behavior. So we take for granted now that health insurance is readily available to all people. However, that's not always been the case, as you remember. And this was seen as an incentive to encourage people to purchase health insurance who otherwise would become either uninsured and not have coverage or become somewhat of a cost to society at some degree somewhere. We also know that health insurance is the highest form of insurance on the market. So you see any degree of tax is going to be implicitly higher under that category due to the nature of the cost of health insurance, which we all know is exorbitant. Furthermore, we need to know that companies don't pay this tax, people pay the tax. So whether you are a homeowner or not, you have health insurance and you are going to pay, you will see an increase in your premium as a citizen who has health insurance or a small business that provides it to its employees. So someone bears the cost of that, not Humana, not Anthem. It is individuals that reside in Boyle County and purchase their insurance within the city limits. So we need to know that it's people paying the tax, not the company, and as an incentive to provide health insurance to as many people as possible, the tax policy was set at that rate to encourage its purchase. So I don't think it's not a blanket mistake. It's been an intentional policy decision of prior commissions and people across the country, frankly, to incentivize its purchase. So that's the basis behind it being zero historically. at least in other communities, have changed that, and that's okay to look at from a revenue standpoint, certainly. But I think we just need to realize those points and why it was the way it was set for this community.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because we couldn't find anything where we had ever talked about it in the last.
Okay, so then I guess we've had enough of that one. Okay, I shouldn't say it that way. On number 9, safety personnel compensation proposal, says action needed. We can table that to the next meeting. Give us 2 more weeks to dwell into that conversation. And
Yeah,
then-
we'll just bring it, you don't necessarily have to table it. We'll withdraw it and bring it back on December the 11th for a follow-up discussion.
And same thing for number 15, the insurance premium discussion as well. Is that your pleasure?
I was fine going in ahead and proving, but
Which one?
the number 9, the
Number 9?
number
Okay.
9.
Okay, well, we'll let the chair back up then.
But I don't know about the others of you.
I have a question on number 9. I'm all for it. But this does not also say there's a hiring freeze, correct? You probably don't want
No,
to
no.
push
so
forward right now, but certainly you don't want to turn away a good candidate.
we can, so it's not necessarily a hiring freeze. It's on those positions that were identified, those 4 positions, 2 police officers, 1 code enforcement officer, and 1 firefighter that were currently vacant when we started the study. So any other police officer, firefighter, city employee for that matter, when it's vacated, we're going to rehire those, certainly. In the event that revenue picks back up or we see the opportunity to hire those positions back, I think that we'd bring that to you regardless of time. What I'm suggesting is, we want to have a balanced budget. And so right now, the strategy to maintain a balanced budget is to leave those positions vacant until such time that we have an opportunity to hire them back. It's not a hiring freeze per se across the board, no.
It's a little strain on those departments, but the onesies and twosies aren't as bad as 4s and 5s.
And they're asking for it, yeah. Okay, so let's let the chair back up then. So on item number,
9 is the one you're on.
9, the floor is open for a motion on item number 9, safety personnel compensation proposal.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we pass the safety compensation proposal as recommended by staff. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, aye. Motion carries. Now, number 15, the insurance premium discussion. Is there a motion on item number 15?
I don't think we needed a motion. This was just a starting off discussion.
Oh, okay.
And we would bring the actual potential updated ordinance back to be officially approved in the future.
Can I make a suggestion on there? In the past, when we've had a tax increase or revenue or whatever discussion, it seems to me the public that I talk to is more agreeable or understands it better if we tell them exactly what it's going for. So is there some way we can, this new pot of money will go here? I mean, is it, because you mentioned 911, we mentioned several
Well,
different
that
things,
was our
but-
purpose for bringing it up. And so for me, if I'm looking at it, I want to know how we're going to pay for the police and fire. And the health insurance premium tax is linked to those departments. And I keep looking at Doug. I'm sorry, Doug. I know you're looking at me too. Not me, you're the guy with the fire suit on over there. But,
Hot in here, right?
so anyway, so yes, so the health insurance premium, it's linked to those departments. For me, I can see that association as a taxpayer, right?
Right.
So that's why we brought it up along with this at this time.
I guess
I mean, and we can,
The more detail, the better, I guess, or,
I
you
can
know,
certainly
just-
like update the memo to specify that change to that rate would be tied to police and fire salaries for the foreseeable future until decided otherwise. I don't know how binding that is
Well, I mean, it just
whatsoever,
gives
but it all kind of gets put into that general fund pot, which is what pays for police and fire.
It is, but I think people want to know that it's, in their minds, it's a different pot, sort of. There's several different pots that they think we have, so
We haven't
and I
changed.
understand that, so, you know, anything we can do to just help them understand and help me understand for that matter.
And how much it would affect our
And that's item number 15 he's.
Yeah, we're
mentioned.
talking about 15.
Yeah, we haven't done anything with 15 yet, so there's no taxes have not been increased tonight.
No,
You see, y'all understand that, right? Where them Boy Scout and Cub Scouts go, right? We just told them how tough it
just a
was, right?
discussion.
To be discussed, okay. Any other comments about item 15? We have
15,
passed
yeah.
Number 9.
I think in the discussion, Attorney Dexter made a good point on incentivizing people have health insurance. So I think we should look all the way across the line, just not at that one.
Right.
You know, even if it's 0.5% on the other ones, or as it looks to me, inland marine, we're the lowest in the area. So, you know, maybe there's something to think about there as well.
Well, that's the one, if you'll remember, we had, airplanes are included in that category. And that was part of our package in consideration with the airport annexation and continuing to incentivize the use and development of the airport. So it was set at that rate as promised to those involved to encourage continual development at the airport. Again, you're seeing tax policy at work to encourage behavior.
You're working real hard for that dinner tonight, aren't you? Good, that's good. Okay, the chair would like to move us along. It's 9:30 already, so next item is, I'm just joking, is second reading of ordinance 2023 Crown Act Ordinance Amendment. Commission needs to lead that discussion. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance number 2023, the Crown Act. And Madam Chair, Madam Clerk, would you read that for us, please?
This is the second reading of ordinance number 2023, an ordinance of the City of Danville, Kentucky, amending Chapter 5.5 titled Fair Housing, Public Accommodations, and Employment to add a definition of national origin to prohibit discrimination based on natural hair texture and style.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any discussion?
Move that we approve the second reading of ordinance 2023.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions or comments? If not, roll
Well,
call.
comment?
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to thank, Ms. Weathers and Ms. Burton for bringing this important, human rights issue to the commission, because it was a great addition to our already existing fairness ordinance. So thank you for being proactive and making our community better.
Any other comments? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Cottle?
Yes.
Commissioner Peak?
Yes.
Mayor Atkins?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Holland?
Yes.
Commissioner Saris?
Yes.
Thank you all. Motion carries. Wow. I feel like I just had the city manager's report. That's next on our agenda is a report from the city manager.
We have item number
Yeah.
11 first.
Did I miss
Mayor.
one?
Yeah.
Number 11. Oh, I'm sorry.
Cemetery buyback.
112702, the cemetery buyback. Miss, yes, ma'am.
Miss Maston came in last week and requested that the city purchase back a grave plot in Bellevue Cemetery in the amount of $429.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2023-11-2702.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Now, the city manager's report. Should I pause right there?
Thank you, Mayor Commissioners. Would like to repeat that December 2nd is our Christmas festival beginning at noon, tree lighting at 7 p.m. December 9th, the parade is at 6 p.m. following a festival during the day. December 6th is the Homeless Initiative Forum. You should have started seeing the brochure out. It's at 4:30 p.m. here at City Hall. Chief Gray, thank him for working on that with us. December the 11th is the next regular scheduled commission meeting, which could be our last commission meeting of the calendar year. Streetscape, the traffic signals, the poles are in. Y'all have seen those laying across the street. We will appreciate when those are installed. I know all of us will be, and we think that it's wrapping up. Targeting January 20th is a opening. We mentioned before the course of the audit, so we'll be working towards a fiscal year 23 audit as quickly as we can. We've had those discussions. We did include a financial summary for you. For the sake of brevity, we won't read the 9 pages that are assembled for you. If you have any questions, please come in and we'll sit down and talk about it at length if you want. Overall, the city's finances are positive. We do have an increasing burden that we can fill tonight with salaries and the expenses tied to that, healthcare. We do believe our health insurance will go up this year. We do believe, we know that our retirement contribution is going to increase because our salaries are increasing, if nothing else. And so we know that we have a lot of pressure against our budget, so that while the fiscal year we're in, maybe our budget is strong or being executed consistent with what the budget plan was, there still will be our challenges next fiscal year in trying to assemble a balanced budget. And so we'll not bore with that, but if you need any additional information, we've also included the bank balances towards the end of that, which is on page 12. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. We do have 2 items that have popped up. Thanksgiving is prevented them from, there was an early agenda last week, so these 2 we do want your approval on. One is they both are invitations to apply for funds for the lead and copper rule, which is really resulted from the Flint, Michigan issue. Everybody's heard of that. And so the federal government implemented new regulation. Instead of making it an unfunded mandate, they have pumped a lot of money into the loan programs through the revolving fund at the state, through the administered by the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority. They are offering 2 loan opportunities with the city. The first one is a $214,000 program oversight pot of money. That fund, if you look on the very last page, there is a table set up by them, which is you can see the $214,000 line. The 4th column from the right is principal forgiveness. And so as you can see on that grant, they are going to forgive the full amount of that loan over the course of time. So that essentially is a $214,000 grant by us applying for that loan. The next one is an invitation to where they have invited us to apply for $2.3 million. And of that amount, $1.3 million is going to be forgiven. So the city will spend $2.3 million and only have to pay back $1 million essentially. And so at this time, given the letters that were supplied, what we would do is acknowledge and accept their invitation for the loan application, and then we would follow up with the loan documents and for your review and approval at the regular meeting on the 11th. So at this time, we would like and request that you authorize us to accept the loan invitations for the 2 Kentucky infrastructure loans, and I'll read the numbers: KF24-027L and F24-066L. and we'll bring back those documents when they're submitted to us.
Thank you, sir. And Commissioners, in the letters that we received, the deadline for applying for this is the 27th of November, 2023. So staff is trying to get us to push it along. to
Which is
apply for the
today,
money.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you need that like a motion?
Yeah, I
or
would like
just-
to have a resolution if y'all don't, or not a resolution, just a motion. That's fine.
To approve.
You will have a follow-up resolution when the loan documents come in.
I make a motion to approve the request from the city manager as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Been properly moved and second. Thank you all. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Anything else, Mr. City Manager?
No, sir.
All right.
Can I ask a quick question about the, relates to streetlights and probably Josh? Can we get the state to look at the timing on those? I get complaints about that all the time. Matter of fact, I saw a couple that got engaged, married, and had the first child on that corner of Main and Third, waiting for the light to change. So,
Patience.
We've struggled a lot through construction with our contractor cutting the loops. Most people don't realize that those lights are triggered by wire loops that are underneath the pavement, especially on your turn lanes and on your side streets on Second, Third, and Fourth.
Gotcha.
So if our contractor cuts one of those, that sensor stops working and it just runs on a timer then, which actually what that results in is too much time given to side streets. So we've dealt with that. We've also dealt with this as a striping has changed, people not stopping on the right place. If they don't stop at the stop bar,
Gotcha.
the sensor won't pick them up. They stop 15 feet behind the stop bar, the sensor won't know they're there.
Gotcha.
So it won't turn. So we've had some issues with that. The new signals are going to have a different type of sensor on them. So we're hoping that does a little bit better with the timing. I'm kind of waiting till the new signals get up and we run that for a little bit and seeing how they perform, and then we'll get with the state about, because that's a really easy, if there's timing issues, it's an easy adjustment for them. They just type some numbers in at the office and it changes it. So
Okay.
we're kind of waiting. I was kind of waiting because yes, I've noticed that as well. But I think a lot of times it has to do with how folks are using if they're stopping at the sensor, if the sensor is even working. People pushing the pedestrian buttons. People need to realize Main Street will never give them a walk signal unless they hit the button. Even when the light turns red, it still won't give them the walk unless they've previously hit the button. Because when they hit the button, it gives them an all red period of time where all the lights are red for about two or 3 seconds, and that gives them a chance to get out in the intersection before the green light turns. So it won't give them that walk and let them do that unless they hit the button. So I see a lot of people doing that as well, where they don't hit the button, they sit and wait, and they wait through 2 or 3 cycles, and it never gives them the walk sign. So there's we can kind of get this
Public
done. Melanie and I
education.
might put a little something together that kind of lets people know how to, especially the new buttons and the new system. Give everybody, because we'll have all new pedestrian buttons and all that'll change. So maybe we'll do a little education as well.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I did have one more thing, and I forgot to mention until I looked over and saw my little note. The Chick-fil-A, and so we see on the bypass where the Chick-fil-A's nearing the point of opening, the gas company is in conflict with the developer. There's questions about cover. There's questions that they're working through mutually. And so out of the abundance of caution, until all of them agree, the developer has blocked off the new roadway into Chick-fil-A. And so what they do have the alternative of going in through the Lowe's into the Cassidy Way in, the Denmark Drive entrance to access Chick-fil-A. What in talking through the issue with Josh and the developer today, and I know Michaela's here, I do have some concern for public safety in that's the bypass, that's high speed. If people see that entrance, it's blocked off. I do want to, until they resolve their issue, we're going to approve some directional signage that's temporary, that is on the city access roads as they intersect the bypass, that just say, for Chick-fil-A temporarily, go down here. So we'll put up a sign that says Chick-fil-A entrance this way. We won't do it, the developer will, at their expense, But we want the developer to do that because we want to make an effort to make that a little safer. They are directional. They're not permanent. They would be temporary until they can open that road. That's really ultimately, our suggestion to the situation, because we do anticipate that being a busy restaurant, definitely along the kickoff, and certainly if some directional signage can eliminate some potential conflicts with traffic, we need to do that. We need to authorize that to the extent we have the authority to do that. And I wouldn't say that we have done that many times. I've seen that before on some of the grand openings, but this would be a little bit more intentional and at the request of the city. So I want to make sure you all know that we're taking that action. And if y'all have any questions, we can look at that together if y'all need to.
Okay, so the only way to access is through Lowe's?
Through the Lowe's end. So we would put a sign all the way over on the Houstonville Road side at Cassidy Way, for example, that says Chick-fil-A this way. We'd do that again at the bottom of the hill at Denmark, Chick-fil-A this way. We would put a sign at the new road that says Chick-fil-A that way. And that's the only way I know to do it to make it safe. Because otherwise, people are going to be pulling in that parking lot. They're going to see it. They're going to see cars up there. They're going to know it's open. They're going to be trying to get through those barricades. And so I just feel like that we need to be proactive with giving them some really safety signage to me that it would be worthwhile.
When's the grand opening?
Yeah, December.
I think
December 6th.
the ribbon cutting is the 6th. I think Jeff Jewell said.
Yeah,
today,
yeah.
And then the grand, I think they're officially open the 7th.
They'll be
Yeah.
looking for you. 'Cause
Do you know, like a time frame of when the other road might open up? Or is it just,
They want to do 60 days, 90 days. They're working through those issues. So, it could literally be resolved next week and it won't matter anyway. We just want to make sure you all know that it's going to be unusual if you all see Chick-fil-A signs out there, but they're temporary and we see them as a matter of public safety, given what we see around other Chick-fil-A's.
We really want to avoid someone pulling in that new road, seeing it's closed and backing out into the bypass. It's like worst case scenario, something like that happening. So
Well,
we talked a lot about that today.
I think you're being proactive, and that's good. Yeah. Anything else?
No, sir. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you all for being patient. It's time for the second hear of the public. At this juncture, people can talk to us about things that are not on the agenda. And ma'am, I know you've been waiting since about 4 o'clock. You want to come up to the microphone, identify yourself, and tell us what your purpose is? You get 3 minutes or less, so smack them around, right?
So I'm Angela Arnett Garner. I'm an Indigenous rights activist. We do a variety of different things on behalf of Native Americans. Over the years, I have researched and written an official historical highway historical marker entitled Cherokees in Kentucky. That's on the main street in the front of the courthouse in Stanford. I have been an event planner. Organized an event featuring the world-renowned Cherokee artist Donald Van that included an art exhibit and reception. I recruited two-time Grammy winner Rita Coolidge to help me unveil the marker in Stanford. That was in 2013. I have hosted and organized 5 major Indigenous Peoples' Days ceremonies in the state of Kentucky, 3 of them in Louisville and 2 of them in Stanford. And I encourage the same sort of thing in all cities across Kentucky. And one project that I have worked on for quite a long time now is promoting Indigenous Peoples' Day. Indigenous Peoples' Day is a holiday, usually in October, that seeks to balance the discussion between the subjects of European exploration and colonization and the very important topic of Native American history and culture, and recognizing that. A lot of people don't realize that we have a pretty good Native American population here in Kentucky. A lot of them have relocated from other areas of the country. We have Dene, Navajo people here. We have Lakota people, a big Lakota family in just south of Louisville. We have Navajo that live over in Harrodsburg and Lawrenceburg, for instance, and many, many other families, people that have relocated. You all probably have Native American heritage that you're proud of, or you know of other people that do. So we need to recognize that population, but also it's just smart tourism. We have a very rich Native American history here in Kentucky that we need to be proud of, and we need to promote that history as a part of our tourism package. There has been, I have helped city councils and fiscal courts pass 23 Indigenous Peoples' Day proclamations in the state of Kentucky. There have been 3 more that have been passed by other people.
I'm sorry, Mayor, that's 3 minutes.
Okay, so just very quickly, so here are some example Indigenous Peoples' Day proclamations. They have been passed by such cities as Harrodsburg, Junction City, Louisville, Frankfort, Somerset, Stanford. Stanford was the first one. Springfield, Perryville has passed one. London, Corbin have passed one. Burnside, just to give you an idea of the overwhelming support for Indigenous Peoples' Day. Here's the first one that was passed in Stanford, and they passed another. Here's a copy of the one that was passed in Harrodsburg, Kentucky. And you'll find, if you read these, that they're not, any one of them are alike. They're all customized to the city's needs and what the city wants to do. There's the one for Louisville for this year. Okay. Here's the sample proclamation, the one that was signed in Mount Vernon. And the one that was signed in Livingston, Kentucky. That's the smallest, probably the smallest city. Here's one that was signed unanimously by the Kentucky League of Cities, which represents over 370 cities, including Danville. And they passed it in 2018. Here is the proclamation. I have also lobbied the governor's office 4 times, and to show you that it's a bipartisan issue that people from both parties get behind. The governor has signed 4 proclamations, and the Kentucky legislature passed 2 resolutions. It was 2 Republicans that passed 2 resolutions permanently recognizing it in the state of Kentucky. Here's the proclamation from the governor this year.
Okay. Yeah? Oh, thank you. We'll, I think this is.
Definitely would like to look at this, consider.
I feel good about you bringing it up.
Yes.
Because we do like to recognize, certainly we just recognize some fairness, and we certainly like to recognize minorities. And I guess we could consider the indigenous minorities now, unfortunately, but it is what it is. So appreciate you bringing that up. And certainly, me personally, I think the rest of the commission will ask the city city attorney and city manager to take a look at the proclamation.
Yeah, I've included, a lot of different copies of different proclamations. If you need more, I can get them. But as I said earlier, there's not any one way to do it. Most cities have just customized it to their needs.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, now.
Thank you.
And we'll pass that on to the city manager and to the our city clerk eventually too. So yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Bernie, you get your hand up. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I thought you had another topic. Okay. Well, we recognize both of you all, and we've talked several times, so I'm getting to know her as well. So very supportive. Mr. Hunt?
Yes, my name is James Honey, y'all don't know me. I got just one thing to say about the tax, on health insurance. I want y'all to, listen to what I'm saying and think about it for a while. There's not a lot of young people coming into the workforce, and a lot of people that don't have health insurance. So there's gonna be a lot of people left out. So is it gonna get? I'll excuse my mouth, I'm just trying to lose my voice.
Take your time.
There's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna not be paying this, but is it gonna provide enough revenue for what y'all are looking for?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's something to think about.
Yes, sir, that's right.
You
Yeah.
know, and a lot of people, you got a lot of retired people, and they don't, most of them don't have health insurance.
Wow.
So there's a lot that need to be considered when you're thinking about it.
Yes, sir. Well,
Thank you.
yes, sir. Thank you. Is there anyone else desiring to speak to your city commission this evening? Is that Cub Scout still over there? No. Oh, he left me? Okay. Okay, let's go on. Oh, next we have commissioner comments. You all passing tonight?
I'll start real quick. Just a quick update on Parks and Rec is alive and well. The new run, the Turkey Trot, is increased in numbers, so that's an accolade for Danville that got that here. The last meeting they had, I unfortunately missed, but was able to get an update of what's going on, and it seems as though Josh's staff with Connor and over it has almost completed the Bunny Davis remodel, which is a real positive. They did some work over at Millennium Park, so our new director is hands-on. And pickleball indoor schedule at Jenny Rogers is set for the winter. So they're moving forward. Oh, most important thing, most all their programs have increased in numbers from last year for the winter.
Well, that's a positive report. Yep. Thank you, sir.
I just wanted to thank staff. The lights look great, already up. And a lot of the citizens said, they were really excited the lights were up even for the gallery hop. And it was a huge success. So thank you for doing it early.
Anyone to my right?
No, they answered.
They took all your.
That's good.
All right. Kevin? Wow, okay, let's go on. Consider the time. Errol made all the announcements, so that's good. Let's do the next item on the agenda, paying of the bills. Is there a motion to pay the bills?
I'll move to pay the the bills in the amount of $383,921.70.
I'll second.
Thank you, guys. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. We skip down to the next item, which is Resolution 112703, Park Design Fee Increase.
Yes, thank you all, Mayor, Commissioners. You have in your packet you have a couple things from Bayer Becker, our parks consultant. They're moving some fees around in some previous task orders, just realigning them to where they're actually spending their time and hours. They just want to make sure it's mostly for their accounting system that they're billing their hours to the right places. So there's no change with those task orders. But then we've got for Michael Smith Park. I don't know if you all have noticed they've started construction down at Michael Smith Park on the splash pad and playgrounds. And Bayer Becker is asking for a fee of $38,500 to conduct the construction administration. So they'll have a staff member down here throughout the project. I think they are calling for 16 site visits, doing the final punch list, walkthrough, those kind of items. This our general construction admin that we ask of our consultants. And they've actually stepped that up a little bit on this project compared to the tennis court project because we had some issues there just with some oversight and some survey issues. So that's the fee they're asking for. That's a reasonable fee for what we anticipate to be about a 6 to 7 month process as they're out there and through May. So we were recommending approval of their fee at $38,500. And as always, that's a not to exceed. So if we can keep their hours down and stay below that, we will. And that will allow us to allocate those hours to another parks project.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments?
I would move that we approve resolution 2023-112703.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
And a quick heads up on that project, they will probably have a change order at the next commission meeting because they've already hit the old swimming pool that was located there in the 60s and 70s. That we knew it was somewhere, we weren't exactly sure where, and they've hit that today. So we'll have a change order to do some demo of that existing structure so we can install the playground. So.
Yeah, of all the places. Couldn't hit
That's right.
oil or gold, you hit the old swimming pool.
Next on our agenda is Chief Simpson. You have the next 3 items. Come on down. Monday Night Football is ready to start.
Yeah, Ashley set a timer for 30 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. I really appreciate the opportunity, Mayor, Commission. Just want to really give a quick update on some of the things that the fire department has going on this year for 2023. I'll start off with public education. Station tours, truck visit, public contacts. We had 1,345 people come in contact with this year. That's a good number for us, public education wise. CPR and first aid, we had 144 participants take CPR and first aid. And most of those have been at the new fire station, the community room. That's been a great asset for us to have that room available. So that's something the community is really good. And also hands-only CPR, we probably had another 100 or so contacts with that. So if anybody needs CPR, we do it the last Friday of each month. You can contact the fire department and set that up.
Is it 4 hours?
Inspections, this is through the fire marshal's office. We've done 102 commercial inspections. And our fire marshals work very closely with all the new constructions in town. Chick-fil-A, Drake's, Morning Point. He's doing a really good job with those new constructions. Car seat installs. All of our firefighters are car seat technicians. That's a 40-hour class. Did 88 car seat installs for the public. Smoke detector installs, we did 54, and those are residential smoke detectors. And if anybody needs a smoke detector and they don't have one in their home, they can contact the fire department. We'll come out and help them put them up, or if we need to, or they can come pick them up and do it themselves. But every home needs working smoke detectors in each bedroom. Also on every level, also carbon monoxide detectors on each level. And if they're older than 10 years of age, they need to be replaced. So if you got older home, whenever I moved to my home, it was older, and we had to replace all the smoke detectors. Hosting of civic events, this is like Rotary Club, Kiwanis. We've had 9 events go on at the new fire station community room. So that's been a really nice thing to have as well. Fire extinguisher training, this is mostly factories in town, Hobart, Denyo. Also Center College, we did 165 participants in fire extinguisher training. So there's our staff does a really good job. They're all highly trained and skilled, and we're really glad we can help the community out in those events. Calls for service. This is just through October. We had 2,579 incidents, calls for service. As of this morning, we had 2,818. So we're averaging about 280 to 300 a month. So we'll probably go over 3,000 calls for service this year. In 2010, we did 600 calls for service. So we've increased to 3,000. That's quite a bit of an increase. And as you see more and more people come to Danville from other surrounding counties, Gary, Lincoln, Mercer, Washington, Casey County, those calls are going to continue to rise. So that's why we need to talk in the future about more staffing for the fire department and first responders in general. That's going to be a need. And as city manager said, the pool is definitely shrinking, and we're kind of under the gun with as far as staffing and compensation. That's why I really appreciate everyone working together and being proactive and coming up with solutions to mitigate this issue before it gets too out of hand. You will see salaries in probably the next 3 to 5 years. They'll probably be approaching, 6-figure range in some areas. It's already out west. Northern Kentucky right now, Florence, Alexandria, starting entry-level firefighters are $68,000. So that's probably something we'll see in Central Kentucky in the next 3 to 5 years. So just want the city to prepare themselves for it. And I don't foresee it getting a whole lot better in the future. I wish we could get a lot of people interested in fire service. It's just not happening right now. And on a positive note, we do have our first co-op student working this year. So it's going to start in January. He's from Danville Christian Academy. So we've been working with Randy on that, and that's really exciting. So this will be the first one in the history of the fire department that I know of. So it'll be really good. No, that's not, no. That'd be kind of neat, though. And what he's going to be doing, he's not going to be doing any firefighting duties or anything like that. He's just going to be observing, watching some trainings, and just understanding what goes on in the fire service. Maybe go out with some inspection, do some shadowing. So that's 11% increase in incidents over the past previous year to date. 54% of our incidents are emergency medical. We've talked about that before. I think that's going to increase as well. You're going to see more and more emergency medical services provided. 46% of our incidents are still fire-related incidents. Still have a lot of motor vehicle accidents with people coming to town, running red lights and doing those things they shouldn't be doing. So just be careful out there when you're out driving around. Also, during the holidays, we're going to have an increased number in the city as well. There's going to be a lot of shopping going on, a lot of people eating out. So just, if you're a citizen driving around town, just be really, really careful. These are some that I found kind of interesting. Most incidents by hour happen at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's probably about time people are getting off work, school's letting out. That's when we have most of our motor vehicle accidents. The least incidents by hour are 3 a.m. People are naturally at home asleep, so we don't have very many. And most incidents by the day of the week is Wednesday. I thought it would be a weekend, but it's Wednesday. So it was a significant amount of increase. It wasn't just a small one.
Stay home Wednesday.
Yeah, everybody stay home on Wednesday. Don't get out.
Is that Senior Citizen Day at Kroger or Wednesday?
I can't go there, Mr. Seuss. Can't go there. So, getting into training, our total staff hours for this year were 8,877. That's 29 staff. Our goal per insurance standard organization is per staff is 265 hours a year, and we achieved that with 306-hour average. So that's fantastic. Our staff does a great job. They're highly skilled, highly trained, and we're very fortunate to have them in the city of Danville for what they provide for us. And I have to give a shout out to Deputy Chief Mulholland, Mike Mulholland. He did a great job. We don't currently have a training officer, and he's been doing the training officer's duties as well as Deputy Chief's duties. And also our battalion chiefs have also taken on some of those duties as well. They train their staff very well, and they do a really good job with them. So just recently, 6 staff received their Pro Board Extrication Technician certification. That's a really high-level extrication technician certification up in Ohio. They were Lieutenant Chris Seiler, Lieutenant Blake Sexton, firefighter Michael Bugg, firefighter Joshua Ryder, firefighter Justin McBride, and firefighter Tristan Turner. So congratulations to those staff on receiving the extrication technician certifications. Also, we had 8 staff go to the Center for Domestic Preparedness in Anniston, Alabama. They received their ProBird certification in hazardous materials and weapons of mass destruction. Those were Lieutenants Patrick Denham, Lieutenant David Spanier, firefighters Justin Bergman, firefighter Josh Bradley, firefighter Chuck Ellis, firefighter Garrett, and firefighter Dan White. That's Jordan Garrett, firefighter. And what they do annually in Anniston, there's about 50,000 first responders go through there. It's a fantastic course. They go through chemical, weapons, ordnance, biological, and radiological training. And that ties right into the Norfolk Southern grant that we're going to be asking for next. So just congratulations to those staff members. Some of the classes we're going to do in 2024 are National Incident Management, 300 and 400 class, and that will be, one of them will be at Danville. Flashover prop drills, you'll probably see those in the back of the fire station. IFSAC aerial class and Inspector 1 class. So we've got some really cool classes coming to Danville and get those staff members through them. We have very few staff members that don't have all their certifications, so that's pretty impressive. And that's really all I have for tonight. I just want to give you guys a really quick update on what we got going on. We're really excited for 2024. I think we're moving in the right direction, and we're excited for helping the citizens out for sure.
And you did a nice presentation in the packet. And
Well, thank you.
I kept saying, well, he must have been hanging around me in the board or something, right? Great presentation.
Well, thanks. It's just a quick update. It's really just some talking points. Really wasn't too big of a presentation, but I appreciate you all. I appreciate everything you do to support us.
Yeah, the numbers, yeah.
Any luck yet? You and Josh have any luck finding a mason yet so you can get that statue, statue?
I'm getting close. I think
Yeah,
I have
we're-
somebody. I've got to actually have a price that I need to make sure Lee's okay that I approve, and then we'll be able to move forward, I think. So.
I'm glad to hear that.
And if anybody wants to ever see the sculpture, the Memorial Plaza sculpture, it's in the lobby of the City Hall. City Fire Department. And we've already had quite a few people come through and look at it, so
The ladies were impressed.
it's really beautiful.
The ADKs were really impressed with that thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably the most important question, though, is when are you serving chili this Christmas season?
We may do something on December the 9th. We'll see. We'll see what we got going on. So
Oh, the 9th, oh, okay.
that'd be the Christmas parade.
Yeah, I know. Let's go on. You have two more items. Let's go on, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good presentation. The Norfolk Southern, yes, sir. Let's.
All right, this is number 18. This is a resolution for the Norfolk Southern Safety Grant application. This grant is for $15,000. It's a no match. And what we would use it for is about 2 radiation detectors and their testing kits for calibration. And right now, we don't have those capabilities. We don't have radioisotope capabilities. So we have a railroad running right through the city of Danville. And you just saw what happened in Rockcastle County. That would help us detect nuclear waste and medical waste as far as that goes. But hopefully we'll get it and hope we can have radiological detection for us.
I'm going to move for approval of resolution 2023-11-2704.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Anytime you present a $15,000 grant for that type of, and no match, that's great.
Yeah.
All those in favor of allowing him to apply for this grant, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Thank you, Chief. You want to continue?
The next one is number 19. This is applying for a temper celiac donation. This is through Assistant Chief Brian Jenkins of the Sanford Fire Department. He brought it to our attention. And B&E Furniture has helped us get that, and be for 40 temper ceiling mattresses for the fire station. So it's really nice.
How about that? Whoa, okay. Is there a match on that one?
There's no match. That's a donation
No.
to the city.
That's crazy.
Well, the chair would like to entertain a motion to allow the fire department to accept the donation of 40 temper ceiling mattresses.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion that we accept or we approve Resolution 2023-11-2705.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Chief. That's
Thank you.
great.
Have a good evening.
Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
and What you all do.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Did he say it was $60,000 value?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a lot. Yeah. Okay.
We're very fortunate.
We'll come over and break them in for you the first night to get them there, right?
Do what now? So-
We'll come over and break them in, Kevin and I will.
Okay.
That's good, good report. There you go. Was your follow-up break your arm? Is there any other business?
We do have a need for
What?
personnel in executive session.
So there's a need for executive session, and you're gonna
personnel.
take the 5 minutes like everybody else, right?
Yes, sir. We'll get Randy to.
Yeah, right, okay. Chair needs a motion to go into executive session. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matter pursuant to KRS 61-810-1F.
Second.
Thank you, sir, thank you, sir. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And let me announce this again, before we go into executive session, we're trying to get the mayor and the commissioners to go straight out the door and straight to the executive session, not have a recess, because we're keeping staff out. Executive session, thank you. Mr. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. We would ask that you accept the resignation of Patrol Officer Brandon Klein.
Is there a motion?
I will, so moved with regret.
Thank you, sir. Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Next.
Staff is recommend the hiring of Samaya Walker to the position of Telecommunications Officer.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next.
Staff is recommending the hiring of Lauren Muntz to the position of Police Officer Recruit.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you all. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn? Oh, they don't want to go home. Whoa. Yes, sir. Y'all take the motion from me.
I move we adjourn.
Chase, make the
Immediately.
motion record, Chase.
Immediately adjourn.
Second.
All right, thank you all.